Collingwood, you're now at 2 o'clock on the CSM clock.
How does that work with daylight savings?
You don't go back an hour, you gain an hour if you lose to Carlton. An extra hour.
Lose to Carlton, that'd be shocking.
Welcome to the Collingwood Rant. I am Sly.
And I am Greater Western Spook.
And we are joined by one of the original columnists of the Collingwood Rant website, the Chief. Welcome, Chief.
Thanks, Sly. Thanks, Spook.
Pity you couldn't join us under better circumstances.
It's I think there would be better circumstances this year, potentially.
But only one circumstance.
Alright, so let's just get straight into it. The loss against Greater Western Sydney. Spook and I talked about this last week. Spook expected a 10-goal loss. I tipped would win by 13 points. We lost by 16.
So I guess we're right.
Yeah. So
average of 2 out.
What actually, I mean, yeah, we know all the basics of it. We still made skill errors. There was a few times I thought we had the potential to run away and, you know, maybe get 5 goals ahead, but we just didn't have the class and all that to really finish them. When I watched this, it was actually really funny because
I didn't think it was funny.
It was funny because fucking the thing I was thinking as the game was going on, I was thinking, shit, this reminds me of that Hawthorn game last year, the last round where we lost by a kick. And then I started thinking, no, that wasn't last year. That was the year before. And I'm thinking, fuck, I'm amazed how many of these games are just blurred into one mess of honourable losses. And I understand what...
Oh, I love that word.
I understand why the club comes out with, you know, we fought bravely and undermanned all that stuff. I understand why the club does it, you know, on social media and all that sort of stuff. But I'm a little bit sick of the fucking bar being there. You know, that's where we're aiming. An honourable loss. Yay.
Maybe just don't tolerate them.
Yeah. And in
the tolerated for 3 years,
well,
4 years. 4 years, sorry, 4 years.
So, I mean, looking at the game, I mean, I was amazed. Like, I just watched it go on and I'm thinking, I bet we don't win this. I fucking bet we don't win this.
Well, there was two glaring irritations for me going into the game, and that was essentially that when Cox was rubbed out, we replaced him with a midget, and then Reedy was ruled out on game day, and we replaced him with another midget.
Yep.
Broomhead goes down in the opening seconds. That was terrible. You know, all the best in the recovery, Broomy, if you're watching. But there was just no one to kick to when Darcy Moore went down.
And then Darcy Moore went down.
You stacked all your eggs in the one tall basket.
And then they just kept bombing it long again and again.
That was my next fucking point. When you know you're going to run a small forward line, why do you all kick to the top?
That astonishes me. I mean, in modern football, it amazes me that football teams, and Collingwood, you know, when they're on, do it.
Are they a football team?
Some football teams, you can go from full back and transition it to half forward with fucking beautiful passing, running, taking the game on.
I thought we were talking about Collingwood.
But the moment you get to within 70, it's like, oh, let's just boot the shit out of it now. Why doesn't the coach go, you know what, let's still continue transitioning it forward? Why not fucking bring all the forwards down and, you know, create a line so you fucking run forward and you can still, you know, handball and all that sort of shit? Why does no one actually take, you know, the game and go, let's innovate it? This is not working, particularly when your tallest forward is about 5'10" now. You know, you have no other tall forwards. Coxie will probably come back in this week, but, you know, you have no other tall forwards, and they're still bombing it. I mean, Trelaw, I'm not singling this out, but I remember, bloody, when the game was in the balance, he stringed down the centre. It was a fucking brilliant run, and then he booted the centre-half forward to Callum Brown, who, you know, an overhead mark, and I'm thinking, it's Callum Brown, he's also only this tall.
Well, I think Crispy did the same thing too. He streamed into the line and kicked it over the top of the head. I mean, it ended up being a goal from memory, but still, it's the same deal. Your kicking is deplorable when you're going inside 50. And you're putting midgets under pressure. Yeah. No offence to midgets. Yeah. They're wonderful little people.
And it just gets to that point. Sorry, did you want to finish?
No, I've finished.
It just gets to the point, whenever it's close, I just know we're not going to finish it. And I was really interested after the game. I was thinking, how many of these close ones we lost? Because it seems we lose most of them. And I did some research. So since 2015, we've played in 28 games decided by 3 goals or less. We have won 10. And the opposition have won 18. There's one draw in there, which I'm just going to discount. When the margin is 13 to 18 points, we sit on 5 wins, they sit on 7 wins, opposition. When it's 7 to 12 points, we sit on 3, they sit on 4. When it's 1 to 6 points, we sit on 2 wins against 7 losses.
We can't win the close ones.
And
they just can't. They don't know how to shut down a game when they're in front, and they don't know how to get in front and then shut down a game at the end. It's It's proven.
It's that
proven
adage.
again and again.
It's like what GW said at the end. You know, good sides find a way to win. We seem to find a way to lose.
Yeah, and we just
they did it last year against us. I think GWS was one of those ones.
Steve Johnson.
Steve Johnson kicked a goal. So
and this again goes back to class. So I did more research because I'm a nerd, and I was thinking about like our poor recruiting, which is no surprise to me. That's no revelation.
I'm surprised. I want to hear this. I thought our recruits were all wonderful.
Between the end of 2011, so after 2011 season, and 2015, we traded or drafted for 45 players. 2 of those players were recycled, like Marley Williams and Sam Dwight came up through the rookie, so like they were 2 of those picks. But of those 43 others, our only successes are Jamie Elliott, who's often injured, Brodie Grundy, Taylor Adams, Jordan DeGoey, Darcy Moore, Eden Maynard, and Travis Varco. That's 7 players, 1 in 6 hits. Okay, and a few of those, like Varco, he's had injury problems, Elliott's had injury problems, DeGoey's still trying to cement his position.
What's happened to the rest of them?
And Darcy Moore, honestly, he's having enough hamstring issues that you're thinking, geez, that's a bit of a worry. And then, so the rest of the guys, and some of those are short-term solutions, like Ben Hudson would have been one of those picks and all that sort of stuff. But then you had guys like, Quinton Young and Quinton Lynch and, Jordan Russell and all that sort of stuff. And if you actually take out 2015, because 2015 is the year they got DeGoey, Moore and Maynard. So when you take that out, it is 3 players from 36 selections that they have nailed. And there's a few of those guys like Greenwood who probably fall in there, but they're not playing, and they haven't played a lot. So you still got guys like Scharenberg and Broomhead and Langdon and all that, who I haven't included in our hits because I thought Scharenberg had a really encouraging game. That was the best. All right. Langdon's still trying to secure his spot.
Yeah, but he was out for most of last year.
But this is what I'm saying. I'm talking about a guy who's a starting 18 player. So this is what you want. If you're going to be drafting 5 years ago, these guys should be starting players now. We're not, carrying them for 7 years. They're not being Kinnear. And you got Mason Cox and Adam Oxley, and again, they're long shots. So I don't really, see Oxley sort of barging down there.
He hasn't had a game for I don't know how long.
And Coxie, they're still trying. I like Coxie as a ruckman. I don't think he's ever going to be a great forward. So I was just looking at that sort of recruiting. I thought 3 out of 36, 1 in 12 selections, and like some of those are, free agents and shit like that.
They should have been free.
Yeah. And obviously because of our high finishes and some of our drafts and trades and all that sort of stuff, we've lost selections like Adam Treloar. We gave up 2 pick 7s. We probably came into the draft late a few of those times. So obviously we're sort of skewered toward, where you probably got less chance of finding a gun player. But you just have to go to that draft that Grundy came from. Grundy, Kennedy, Broomhead, Ramsey from that draft. 1 hit. Grundy looks great. Grundy looks one of the best young ruckmen in the league, despite Spook's misgivings. But, that's the inside joke. Kennedy's gone. Broomhead's now broken his leg, and he was very injured back, in and out. And Ramsey is now also gone. This is why Collingwood really struggles for class, because that drafting period, that list management period was really, really poor. And I'm not blaming anyone, I'm not pointing fingers like at Buckley or anything. But
don't they? Hasn't Buckley said, and the team said that the coach actually is not involved in the draft, in picking players? Isn't that what he said? Which I find staggering if that's the case.
There's scuttlebutt that the list manager in the past, I don't know if it's the case now, but the list manager in the past hasn't answered the football department, he's answered elsewhere. Again, that's just rumours, I don't know.
The boot starter?
But I don't know. But like you
the opposition team.
I mean, some of it's bad luck. You had a draft. You pick up Scharenberg and Freeman. Scharenberg did, was it 1 ACL or 2 ACLs?
Yeah, he also did he come in with the footy issue at the start.
And then Freeman is 2 weeks away still. 5 years on. If you nail those 2 picks and you got 50, 60 games into them, and you put him in our side, suddenly you have a lot more class and explosiveness and all that sort of stuff. If you look at those picks that are available. If they picked up Patrick Cripps, who Carlton picked up later, and you stick him in the Collingwood side, suddenly it's going to look a lot better when you've got a midfielder who's winning his own ball and feeding others out. So that's the draft where I reckon that's really stuffed up the club. And you look at the side, when they're in close games, or even just games in general, they just lack class. They lack polish.
I understand they lack class, but as I've always said, there's certain things you can teach that doesn't require class. And just watching on the weekend, what was Buckley and the other coaches saying at 3/4 time when they're saying, Moore's down, we got 5'6" midgets forwards, bomb it long. I mean, is that what they? I'm sure they can't tell the players for like that. So it's not something that you teach a. You can teach a player, don't bomb it long. So don't bomb it long. But the players are bombing it long. So what are they saying? Are the players just not doing what they're meant to be doing, or are the coaches not giving them the instructions to not bomb it long and to try and run it as far into the forward line as you can? I don't know.
This has been going on for a while. I don't know what year it is because they all merged into one. That game against the Bulldogs where we had like 5 injuries, we were leading.
Yeah. Start of last year, was it?
It was last year, yeah.
It was last year or the year before? I thought it was the year before.
No, it could be the year before, actually.
I thought it was the year before after we beat Geelong and then we're sort of up and running again. And we had 5 injuries. But in that game, for about the first 3 quarters, we just peppered the goals. And I think 90% of the time we picked up Eastern Wood and he just kept mopping up with marking. And Buckley was saying, that's not the way I want to play. What's going on?
He says that a lot.
Yeah. What's going on there that, you know, they're constantly just doing the same thing, they're just bombing? I mean, the only thing I can imagine is they run drills, and they're expecting players to be leading to those spots. But, you know, you're 6 years, 7 years into a coaching tenure, this isn't clicking. So you can't keep using the same game plan because that's just the definition of really, it's just stupidity. If you keep trying something hoping it's going to click at some point, it's apparently not.
But they're obviously not changing the game plan to take into consideration that you got 2 down on the weekend, so you had Moore down at half time and you had Broomhead down at the start, and then you're playing a short forward line. So, as I said, don't they figure out that it's not that if that's how they're meant to be, they're meant to be running positions, they're not there. They're not going to be there. You got to adjust the way you play, and if you can't adjust it,
fairly obvious. I mean,
that's right.
You're not going to go up for a lot of contests. You should be either running to space, you break and you run in different directions, you kick low and hard to a leading forward and you mark it out front. Did you see one instance of that? I can't remember any.
Where's the, what was it, the Dunstall, make a lead, kick a goal, take a mark, kick a goal, all that sort of stuff, you know?
Maybe they convert that to a nursery rhyme and then they put that up on the
whiteboard before the game.
The Music Man or something.
Yeah, the Music Man, you know?
Yeah, it just staggers me that we're still seeing the same problems. And the stat I read about the close ones we've lost, that to me shows, you know what? We're not coming good. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of those ones we probably did win, we're probably ahead by a few goals and they kicked a couple of cheapies at the end or something.
But again, you can teach that. Well, that's what I'm saying. There's class. I understand you can't teach the class is class, but you can teach winning the close ones. It's the move, kick back. I remember the last year, the pre-season, when we were up by 2 goals or something. I can't remember who it was, Hawthorn or where it was in the pre-season game. I mean, we're going to lose this because they got it in.
Oh, the Masters are conceding
and kicked it, and someone marked it outside the 50, basically unopposed, and they kicked it in, and someone marked it outside the goal square unopposed. So wait a minute, why are you actually kicking it long? Where's the take a mark, kick it, take a mark, kick it, just keep going in triangles for a minute? It's just stupid. Waste time. Wait till the umpire blows their whistle to say play on before you got to get rid of it.
They don't seem to have a lot of that collective on-field intelligence that you used to see a lot during our good years, where you had like guys like Maxwell, marshalling.
They haven't got that on.
It doesn't seem
on field.
You don't want to single anyone out here, though, of course.
No, look, I'm not pointing fingers at Pendlebury. Not pointing fingers at Pendlebury. The whole side should have something. You don't need to be playing a lot of games to actually have enough sense to sort of go, hey, I should plug up this hole or I should lead or whatever. Because even someone like Stevenson, not pointing fingers at him, but like someone like Stevenson who's played now, 2 games? I'm sure he's played as a junior, 300-400 games. So he would have learned a lot of these tactics. I'm not pointing fingers at Stevenson. I'm just saying all these guys are coming up through a process where they're playing junior football, then they're probably playing TAC or state football. So these aren't things that should be new to them. They should be able to learn that.
And they're mimicking the senior tactics more often than not at the lower grades at any rate.
Yeah, so it just amazes me that we don't seem to have any on-field intelligence or any on-field marshalling of what should be happening, or just someone, sort of running around, pepping people up and go, fuck, lift, or whatever the case might be. It really sort of annoys me that it just feels like it still feels like a hodgepodge of recruits. It doesn't feel like, when we saw the 2010 team, we saw them come up together, we saw them knit together, we saw them, take on the competition. And it always felt like they're all building to that one vision.
They had a core that was going forward together.
Yeah, and this just still feels like it's all over the place. I don't know what the side is. You have one key tall in more, and then you have a couple, sort of lower picks like McClarty in that in the reserves. And you sort of lack these classy finishers. I mean, the one encouraging thing, I guess, was if you look at, and I have to admit, I watched this game on the phone, thanks to Channel 7. I watched this game on the phone, and like, so I couldn't read, you know, what was going on entirely.
Oh, you weren't the only one.
On-field positioning and that. Sharon Blue played, I reckon, the most encouraging game I've seen him. He did a few things where I thought he just took it on and said, you know, he tried to stamp himself in the game. I thought Ace did the same thing. That was the first time I really thought, you know what, he wants to play, he wants to be part of the future. And I thought Langdon was really good down back. He just
the ex-Swan was...
and Sam Murray. Oh, yeah.
He got caught a couple of times, but he's trying to do something. He's
backing himself
in, running hard, kicking long, you know. He looks good.
And I can't talk to him on the phone, but it looked like Adams was in the middle of the second half and started feeding it out to Treloar. I don't know if I read that wrong.
No, he did go in the middle.
You know, and that, again, has been...
Well, Treloar's on the injury cloud, I think, for the week. So I think that's why he basically didn't have a kick till the
groin
kick goal.
Issues or something is the scuttlebutt, but...
well, this is the other thing.
He went forward for the bulk of the game.
He looked like he wasn't running and as usual, running as hard and all the rest of it as he usually does. So
but this is the other thing is, all right, Broome has an unfortunate injury, you know, he collides with the post. Moore's done a hamstring. Moore's done quite a few hamstrings now, I think.
He's done them all. He's got the set.
You got Treloar, he's got a soft tissue injury. Pendlebury's got to be injured because he looks like he's sort of running at about 75%.
That could be just age catching up.
Still in the Licurio now, I think.
Yeah, but you got like a lot of these soft tissue injuries sort of popping in. Josh Smith did.
It's been the last 4 years.
And again,
that's no different.
That's the thing.
What's the connection?
But what's happening there? And no one's sort of going, let's change it. Well, let's try something different. Or this is obviously not working. This idea that, you know, you can just push through and come out the other end and it's all going to work out. You know, I can understand why you do that in the first year or the second year. Third year, no. Fourth year, definitely not. And now what? We're in the fifth year of just seeing close losses, honourable losses, soft tissue injuries, and the same problems popping up in fucking games of just booting the crap out of the ball and skill errors and all that sort of stuff. It just gets to the point where you just go, really, who's watching this? Who's going to keep going watching this?
Well, obviously, only 30,000 at the game, so obviously a lot of people...
Oh, that's the Easter weekend.
...are a bit... no, I think it's a lot of people are disillusioned with 5 years of the same thing again and again. And I'll talk to you guys after the first. It was rinse, repeat. Basically, what happened against Hawthorn is the same thing that happened last year. They can't get a target. They can't kick a goal. They bomb along into the forward line and it gets mopped up too easily. It doesn't go to the ground in the forward line once they kick it. And it just comes straight back out. That's, you know, yeah, obviously, and they get it in often enough. So they get it in often enough, but just falls down.
They generally match the stats of the opposition.
And they, you know, and look, Western's great at Western Sydney. We usually play well against them. They kick straight. You know, 15-5 is fantastic kicking in anyone's
But also
language.
you've got to look at, because a lot of time when they're getting their goals, they're just getting them straight in front, or they're getting
they got a lot of lucky-ish snaps and this other sort of stuff. So I think
that's class.
You're right. It is. It's class, and we don't have it. We're
without the CL.
Yeah, we don't. We lack the class. We lack the polish, unfortunately. But you can do a lot of things that don't have the polish. Western Bulldogs won a flag without the polish. Let's be honest. That was it.
They've done well since.
Who cares? Win a flag. Who gives a shit? But they won a flag with a team that lacked polish, but had hard workers that played a game and a system and put a lot of pressure on. And won a flag because there was no one else around. Look at Richmond. Richmond got hammered by the Saints, and the Saints are absolutely atrocious now in round 15, 16, whatever last year. And they won a flag. They don't look any good.
Atrocious.
Yeah, but the Richmond don't look that good.
I mean, luckily, so we're 0-2 now, which Spook and I were saying in the preview, we can't start 0-2, so what the fuck do we
apparently we can.
Yeah, we can.
We did.
Fortunately, like a lot of the results this round were upset. So everyone would expect that Essendon beat Fremantle.
Yeah, it was a...
They lost.
There's not that many. There's only 4 teams or something.
Yeah.
1, 2 or 5 teams.
Yeah, everyone would expect that St Kilda to beat North. They didn't. So there's a lot of games like that where if you got probably the expected results would be 2 games behind already. But because a lot of those games were upsets, we're actually still just 1 win behind the pace. But in the next month, we have game against Carlton. Adelaide in Adelaide. Essendon on Anzac Day on Wednesday. And I think it's like about 5 days later, then we play Richmond.
Oh, that should be good. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
It's literally a couple of days, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's Wednesday to...
4, I think it's a Sunday.
Sunday game.
Yeah, so they might as well just not leave the MCG. So the month ahead's actually like a really tough month.
I
wouldn't be surprised.
Carlton will be disgraceful and right off the season.
We'll go into that in
disgraceful.
we'll go.
I don't care. It's disgraceful. If we lose to them again like we did last year, it'll be disgraceful. I wrote off the season after we lost them last
we're
year.
talking about this.
Cover that in the preview, Chief.
Yes. All right. So
It's disgraceful. It was disgraceful last
No,
year.
it's not disgraceful. We do this normally.
Yep. Any final thoughts on the Collingwood Greater Western Sydney game?
Better effort.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's certainly, again, you're going to come back to this honourable loss crap, and I'm sick of them.
Everyone's sick of them. Everyone's sick of them.
Your effort 90% of the time is just not good enough. Win the fucking game.
Like, your effort's good enough. You need to actually be able to finish. You know,
Well, it was better effort. They should have won even with 2 down. Is the way that
I think they should have won. I mean, no one can fault their effort. They're trying. You know,
GWS are pretty ordinary, I think.
but again, it comes back to that thing. They are always vulnerable on the MCG. You know,
And if you put pressure on them, they love the downhill skiing football. That's just the way they play.
just before I sign off on this segment, I'm going to say this. Spook can edit it if he wants to. So anyway, that's it in terms of the Collingwood Greater Western Sydney. When we come back, we will look at Collingwood in the media in...
Media Methetic.
Yep. So we'll see you in a minute. So, welcome to Media Methetic. This is where we look at Collingwood being mentioned in the media. So let's begin with Collingwood's own coach declaring Tom Mitchell's game of 54 possessions overblown. Thoughts?
Ridiculous.
I know who's overblown.
I think that comment's a little bit overblown. Show some respect to the guy. I think 54 possessions probably meant he had not a bad game.
I think if I had 54 touches, I'd be overblown that night.
He had every best stat for the last year with that 54 touches. Most touches, most metres gained, most this, most that. And it's overblown. Really?
Seriously, that game, Tom Mitchell should get 3, 2 and 1 votes in the Brownlow. He was that good. Headline. And I think Spook knows, so I'll actually test you.
Test me,
Chief,
sure.
Which Collingwood figure said this about Coach Nathan Buckley? Things can turn quickly.
Maguire.
Yeah.
Oh well, so it's that's a true Maguire.
So there's an article that's out.
He says it every couple of weeks.
That's what I said. It's a true Maguireism.
Yes.
Let's go to Maguire for a quiet. Yeah, no. Just I'll take this one down. We know what you're going to say, mate.
That's right.
I actually think that's a typo. Surely what Eddie was saying was things can turn over quickly.
Turn badly quickly?
I think he left out the word ugly.
Yeah. So any other thoughts about that?
No.
You know, it's great if things can turn quickly, but would like to actually see it. Mike Sheehan declared that Scott Pendlebury is no longer an A grader.
He could be on something there.
No, Pendlebury's a gun. Has been a gun. Even these 2 games that you say he's injured, he was still our best player on the weekend, and he probably was the best player the week before. His skills are silky smooth still. I agree with you. I think he's got some niggling injury, so he's not quite at his 100%, but he's still our best player by far, and he's still an A grader.
I agree that, look, you know, he is getting on, but, you know, whether it's right or wrong, I think it's just early. You can't be making calls like that. It screams to me of someone wanting airtime for irrelevance.
No, look, I think it's important that it gets thrown out there. Maybe he'll be motivated by that sort of commentary. And the other question mark I have a little bit over Pendles, and I love the bloke.
Is his finger injury?
I'd like to see, and look, maybe this stuff's kept internally, whatever, or it doesn't come out visibly. I'd like to see him just grab that leadership role by the scruff.
I really grab the player by the scruff.
Rip into a few blokes. Maxie was wonderful at it. He'd rip you to shreds.
Well, do you remember Maxie slapped for Solo once in the shoulder?
Yeah. And I think sometimes that's what players need as a rev up. Yep. Not just that nicely, softly, quietly approach.
Yep.
Just call it for what it is. You were shit. Lift your game. Don't do it again, or I'll take your stamp collection. Seems to be what it is. I just like to see him a little bit more aggressive.
I'd actually like to see him like Carlton in South Park. Like at just some point in the game, just go, screw you guys, I'm going home.
I
don't think the thing is with I love the bloke too. I don't think he should have been captain this year. No, Pendlebury. I think he can't get any better. He'll still play at the level the best he can, and he'll still provide the leadership that he needs to. I think they needed one of the younger guys to give him that leadership position, to show him and to grab people, give it to Grundy and he can grab him and pick him up like this, and give him and fire him up because he's on the field. He does that, and I think that'll give him that next step into the leadership position.
I mean, with captaincy, you give it to someone, and either they just keep playing the way they're playing, which I think is what Pendles has done. I think Gavin Brown did that years ago, and sometimes you give it to someone. Like Nick Maxwell's a really good example, Tony Shaw's another great example, and it just elevates them, and they become fantastic leaders, and they really drive the side. I think Buckley became a really good leader in the second half of his career as captain. I don't think he was such a great leader at the start. No. But it's like, I'd be looking at him and going, who is this going to take on this responsibility, and by taking on that responsibility, who will improve everyone else around him? So I think, yeah, they should have moved on the captaincy just as a matter of trying to usher in the next generation also.
Straight to Kirby.
Yep. We're going to get on to Kirby later. This is for me particularly. Did you see the Geelong Hawthorn match?
Yep.
No.
James Sicily needs Joel Selwood in the head.
I saw that.
A few years ago, Taylor Adams dropped a knee on Justin Westhoff. It was shown more than the fucking Zapruder footage. It had every fucking... I won't name the people, but there was a lot of journalists coming out going, oh, they should ban him, make an example of him and all this shit. Where is the exact same treatment for Sicily? Why aren't you saying anything about Sicily? Why isn't he being condemned by every fucking media personality out there? It's another case again. If it's a Collingwood player, bang. If it's someone else, and Sicily's got a bloody, you know, he's a fucking he's got a temper. If it's someone else,
how can Cox, the 1 week, equate to the Sicily when you got someone down on the ground, give him a knee in the head, to Cox in play, his bloody 7'2", when he tried to and it ran off his shoulder and went into the head, and that gets a week. It's ridiculous. The commensurate status of the two is stupid.
No, it just pisses me off though, because like seriously, when it happened to Adams, they're not saying Adams should have got off. Adams deserved a penalty, but he was fucking condemned in every media outlet. They showed that so much. They showed that more than the game after it happened. You know, it was like, get back to the game. He's showing me this replay again. Sicily, like, I think the Raw put it up, and that's about it. No one says anything. I mean, Joel Selwood came out and goes, yeah, I really wasn't happy about that. So even when a player sort of comes out, and usually players don't say anything.
And Selwood would say anything, yeah.
Nobody picks it up. It's fucking ridiculous. You know, they talk about double standards. Oh, fuck, I'm going to lose it, seriously. So we queried Ben Reid's durability a few weeks ago. He's a late withdrawal. As it turns out, what happened apparently, if I can find it on my running sheet, is, this is a quote, there was a bit of a butterfly effect coming on. Coxie put his knee into Reid's hip during training, which kept him out of last week when Reid missed out.
That's all it does to take care of Reid and put him out for a week. So if I was an opposition player, yeah, what I'd be doing every week, just...
So we have players getting injured during games. We get, you know, players whose injuries linger, so there's questions about the medical staff and all that sort of, you know, all that. And now we have our own players injuring, you know, teammates. It's fun, yeah.
But the thing is, they knew he was under a cloud. They made that late change to the emergencies and brought McClarty in because he's the only tall that's left and showing some prospects. But they still bring a midget in.
Yeah.
Hey, I know who needs a knee drop to the head.
And they put the onus back on Darcy Moore to go, oh, you know, you'll be the sole tall forward because this year we're going to play Coxie if Ivy's out. And we're going to play Reid out. So you'll be the sole forward again and we'll just butcher the ball to you and hopefully you won't get battered or injured or be finished by... It's fucking ridiculous. I seriously... I can't go on about this. So there were a few injuries this week. That's the Tim Broomhead. Bloody terrible broken leg.
That's shocking. That was shocking.
Darcy Moore, again, hamstring.
Didn't look like anything. I couldn't see it. It's obviously just running around. They
was citing it was a finger originally.
Yeah, I thought it was, you know, they showed the finger and all of a sudden he just stopped being there.
Yeah. And then Mooney reported from the boundary that it was a hamstring. As I said, Moore's done enough hamstrings now where you'd actually look at him and go, we need to strengthen him in that area. It's like Cyril Rioli was getting a lot of hamstring injuries and looked like he'd probably have a career. We just get injured every 6 weeks. Hawthorn's strength conditioning, you know, if I can got him up and until recently...
They do a super job, Hawthorn's people.
That's the old magic cauldron.
Yeah.
You know, he's been one of their most durable players until last year. You know, he did a serious injury, but he was up and running and he relies a lot on pace and shit like that. Collingwood's got to fucking work this out because I'm getting sick of the same players going down.
Well, the injuries, it's tiring.
It
it's
is.
the same players all the time. You know, you've had 5-6 years of this. You know, really what it is you're doing it at training, you're doing it too hard, you're making them run too hard. Whatever it is you're doing, do something different.
I'd actually, and this has been floated about, I don't know, I haven't trained, but they train at Olympic Park on that oval, which really looks like a high school football oval. I actually wonder about the surface there.
Well, it's got the bear traps every couple of feet, then you got to dodge the landmines over there.
Yeah.
And then there's that fear of meteorite showers every 5 minutes. So other than that, the grass is pristine.
The flooding too out of the arrow.
No, we don't flood.
No.
So you wonder about that. I actually wonder, is it a good surface to train on? Is it just too hard? Well, we don't know. We don't look. There's got to be a denominator here, which is the contributing to all these injuries because you've had them for 7 years. So you can't run around sort of going.
Go back to Vic Park.
Yeah.
Go back to Vic Park.
Yep. And finally, congratulations to Chloe Malloy from Collingwood's AFLW team who won the 2018 AFL Women's Rising Star and tied second for the league's best and fairest.
Yeah, she looks the good.
Congratulations, Chloe.
Yep. Great year.
So that's it from Medium Acidic. We'll be back with the preview for the Collingwood Carlton match with the Fred of Chief riding off the season.
Fucking up with it.
Don't go changing.
Especially you. So we're going to look at the match coming up this week, this Friday night, which is a novel time for Collingwood to be playing. Collingwood versus Carlton. Collingwood, traditional rivals. What are your thoughts? I'll go first to you, Chief.
If we lose this game right off the season, go home, people. Don't go to another game because Carlton are rubbish. They were rubbish last year and we lost to them, and I right off the season then, and it was a good call. If we lose,
fully classified for good calls.
If we lose this game to this crap team, and we've done it the last 2 years, and they've been worse, write it off.
Yeah,
go home. Go home, people.
What do you actually think? You're talking about
we should win. So alright, we should win because they're bad. We should win. We've got a superior.
There's a Carlton rant somewhere where they're going, we should win because they're bad.
Alright, you're probably right. Carlton have no forward line, no back line, and Cripps. So they've got Cripps. Cripper and Kerno, and they've got no one else.
Win one for the Cripper.
So they are bad.
Can I just jump in? Nathan, tag Cripps if he's on like 54 possessions after the game.
That's not going to happen. You know that's not going to happen. So
just tag him. Put anyone on him. Just fucking get some player that's not going to play seniors to go in the first minute and put Cripps in a sharpshooter. And fine, he'll get like 2 to 6 weeks, but Cripps will be out for the game.
Well, he's going to go out injured anyway.
Who, Cripper?
Whoever you put on him, he's going out for 6 weeks.
Sorry. So we should be able to, as per usual, we should be able to get into the forward line more than Carlton. The defence should stand up against the non-existent Carlton forward line. Our issue, and they've got no back line. So let's be honest. So our non-existent forward line should beat their non-existent back line.
Someone is a Carlton chief saying all this.
Yeah, there is, but I'm the Collingwood chief, and our non-existent forward line should beat their non-existent back line. Therefore, we should win.
Spooky?
I still harbour fears of Carlton for everything that they've done to me. You're right, we should win this. However, I'll echo some of the thoughts that I've read on the forums the last couple of weeks. I think you touched on it as well, that we'd have this meritorious performances and then come back the following week against Carlton and drop our bundle. I wouldn't be surprised if we drop our bundle. The ins this week are going to have to be massive, and I mean that. Coxie's obviously going to come back in. Hopefully Olive Reed comes back in. We need some tall marking timber down there,
I think someone who's going to bring
to the deck. But how many has he played in the AFL?
He's played, I think, one of the big games. I think they'll bring him back just out of desperation.
Well, that's probably the best way to ensure that he misses another month. The change is going to be massive this week. I think it's a danger game. We should win on effort alone. If we bring what we brought last week, despite the injuries, we should win and should win comfortably. I do not say that with any sense of confidence, though.
I watched Collingwood Carlton up through the 80s, and we were going head to head, we were even, and then Carlton pulled away, or became a shit team. And then through the 90s, they pulled away further, and I thought we're never going to rein that in, and we got to within one game of them, one win.
They're 4 in front now, yeah.
Yeah, and then the last couple of years fucked it up. So, you know, I'm actually really pissed off about that, about losing to them when they're an appalling team. And I'm fully expecting us to lose this week. I think last week's effort was the big effort. They put it all in. They played for the pride, for the coach, to prove that, you know, hey, we can do it and all that sort of shit. This will be the flat game where they're going to run around clueless, and it'll be, unlike Hawthorn and the Great Western Sydney game, where they put in the effort, you couldn't fault that.
They didn't put the effort in, hold on.
They did, they were just, their skills were just shit.
No.
Anyway, that was a couple of weeks ago.
I don't care, I wasn't on there. No, they didn't put the effort in. There was nowhere near the effort at Hawthorn game,
was it.
like it was in the Great Western Sydney game, no.
Anyway, it's gone. Okay.
I dispute.
Yeah, well that's fine, like coming back after this. Like,
so I can say whatever I want, and therefore I still dispute.
Nah, so I think this will be the game where it just falls flat, they'll flat line, and then they'll probably just beat Adelaide over there.
We'll win by 8 goals plus.
And we'll beat Adelaide, and then we'll come back and lose there.
We'll get hammered by Adelaide by 8 goals plus.
So actually, I don't expect us to win. I really just expect us to implode. It'll be great if we didn't. But
the loss will be catastrophic to the masses too.
Yep.
If we lose, season over.
Well, if we lose, we're 0-3.
The season's over. If we can't beat this rabble, how are we going to expect to beat anyone who's even mediocre?
We're rabble.
Yeah.
But that's what I said. If we can't beat their rabble, we can't beat anyone.
We would be anyway if we lost.
Beat anyone.
We can.
Yeah, but that's the problem. In the last few years, you know, they'll lose to Carlton, then they'll beat a Geelong or Adelaide, and they'll come back, and then they'll lose to, you know, North Melbourne or someone. They do it regularly.
This is true.
And it's just the difference between the best and the worst. And I think a big part of that is when they win, they're just really putting in, you know, so much effort to win the ball, create turnovers, create opportunities, and they just don't have. I don't think anyone has the capacity to do that week in, week out. You know, they've got to play smarter rather than play, you know,
I keep going back to the Doggies in 2016. They didn't have that capacity. They had a very good structure, and they were just so hard at it that it was phenomenal to watch.
I think their skills were a lot better though.
The skills were a lot better in 2016. In 2015 they weren't. In 2017 they weren't.
Yeah.
So that year was the Carlton 1995 year when they're all...
Any final thoughts about the Collingwood Carlton game?
8 goals.
Just fucking win. For fuck's sake. You know, I got told about my fucking swearing, but fucking win, or I'll fucking swear a lot fucking more next week. Alright, we'll be back with our question of the week. So, last week we had a question of the week. Should Steele Sidebottom play permanently as a forward? I will throw first to Spook because Cheesehead will pop off.
He's very creative. He knows where the goals are. He has a sense for them. I'd probably almost lean towards yes. And that's also under the proviso that we won't see Elliott and Fasolo in the side together all that much. If they were there, I'd probably suggest no. I really don't expect them to be there for the entire rest of the season. So for that, definitely yes.
Chiefy.
No. Because he has good skills as one of the classiest players in our team, and it's one of the few people that could probably hit a target in a forward line.
You're waiting for that to happen. Wait for anyone to hit a target in our forward line.
He's wasted because no one will be able to hit him. No one will be able to pass it to him properly. No one will be able to
hit the Titanic in our forward line.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So what's the point of putting him in there when it'll be his skills and his effort will be wasted because basically the delivery will be horrendous to get it, so at least he can actually put it in there and we might fluke a few.
I play him there. I go back to when Heath Shaw was an half-back, and I was one of the people saying, let's play him on the ball, and people going, oh, you know, maybe you're not going to get better out of him. Let's go, well, you try it. And they tried it, and I said, yeah, you're right. Play him at half-back. That's where he's doing the most damage to the team. Still Sidebottom is a fantastic goal kicker. He can create goals out of, you know, not any opportunity, but, you know, he can create goals, which a lot of other forwards can't do. He's good on both sides of his body. He's a good crummer. He's got a fantastic goal sense. You have how many of those players in your side, Collingwood, up forward? 0. I would fucking put him up forward. He would seriously kick 40 or 50 easy. If the midfield is going to be that deep, then, you know what, you should be able to colour him. You could still have little forays in there, but I think he adds more value to Collingwood as a forward than he does as a midfielder. And he might want to play midfield, because I'm sure every player wants to eventually play midfield. But again, it's about where do you add value. It's like Dacos in 90. Where do you add value? You're a champion centreman, be adding more value as a forward. So yep, I would play him as a forward. Our question for next week, not answering this now. So
I'm not going to be here next week. Why can't I answer it now?
You can email your answer.
Yeah.
Email. I'll post it in.
What is Darcy Moore's best position? And I'm going to name 3 positions.
Prone.
Vertical.
Ambulance.
So
Hospital bed.
defence, forward, or in the ruck.
Well, he sits near the defence a lot.
Yeah, unfortunately. So that's all we have for this week. Tune in next week. It could be a really happy show, and we could be wearing sombreros and drinking tequilas and margaritas.
Kool-Aid.
Or we could be drinking Kool-Aid and still hoping it may turn around. That's it from us. Thanks for joining in.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you next week.